Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving into the fantastic work of Harvard Dr. Aditi Nirokar, and we're talking about something we all deal with, stress. We're going to break down how incredibly tiny habits can create huge results in fighting the pressure of modern life. And we're going to start with a myth that, honestly, most of us believe.
Okay, let's kick things off with a question for you. And be honest with yourself here. Do you think you're a good multitasker? If you're like pretty much everyone, your answer is probably a confident yes. We kind of wear it like a badge of honor in our busy world, right?
Well, you might want to sit down for this. According to the research Dr. Nurikar highlights, only about 2% of the population can actually multitask effectively. 2%! For the other 98% of us, yeah, it's pretty much a scientific myth.
So if we're not multitasking, what on earth are we doing? Well, for the vast majority of us, what we're actually doing is task switching. We're just rapidly jumping from one thing to another. And this is a big deal because it's not harmless. It's actively weakening our memory, our thinking, and our problem-solving skills by putting a huge strain on our brains.
Okay, so if our main strategy for getting things done is actually kind of broken, how in the world do we start to fix our overwhelming stress? Well, the secret to solving this huge problem is, believe it or not, something really, really small.
This quote right here, this is Dr. Nurikar's whole philosophy in a nutshell. To tackle a massive problem like chronic stress, you don't need to blow up your whole life and start over. In fact, she argues that the most powerful solutions are usually the simplest and smallest ones.
So how does that even work? I mean, how can small things fix big problems? It all comes down to this incredible thing our brains can do called neuroplasticity. The key thing to get here is that your brain isn't set in stone. It's more like a muscle. You can literally strengthen it and rewire it for less stress no matter how old you are, just by using small, consistent habits. So let's check out a couple of powerful examples.
First up, let's talk about the workday. Because let's be real, it's a huge source of stress for so many of us, especially now with all the remote and hybrid stuff going on. Dr. Nurikar has these two fantastic resets to help you get your focus back and build a real boundary between work and life.
Here's the core problem with working from home. Our brains love compartments. They need clear lines between this is work time and this is home time. But when your office is your kitchen table, and your kitchen table is also your kid's art station, all those lines get blurry, and your brain gets stuck in this state of low-key, constant chaos.
So how do you rebuild that boundary? Dr. Nirukar's idea is genius, and it's called the fake commute. It's so simple. We're talking about getting dressed for work and then just walking outside for literally 2 minutes. That tiny action signals to your brain, okay, we're switching modes now. It creates that mental shift from home you to work you, and honestly, it can be a total game changer.
Now remember that multitasking myth we totally busted a minute ago? Well, the antidote is beautifully simple. Monotasking. Just doing one single thing at a time. I know. In today's world that sounds impossible, right? But stick with me, there's a really practical way to make this work.
It's a technique called time blocking. Instead of trying to juggle 4 things at once for an hour, you give just one task your undivided attention for, say, 15 minutes. Then you take a quick break, reset, and move to the next task for another 15. You still make progress on everything, but you're not frying your brain. Those little breaks are like hitting a reset button, and they stop that stress from piling up.
All right, let's switch gears to a habit that is so common, we don't even think of it as a habit. We're all on autopilot with this one. But the science is pretty clear. It's quietly one of the most dangerous things we do every single day.
You've probably heard this saying before, right? But it is not just some catchy phrase. The research behind the dangers of being sedentary is truly, genuinely alarming. It turns out it's not just that moving is good for you, it's that sitting is actively bad for you.
And the level of risk here is just staggering. One study showed that the people who sit the most had a 112% higher risk of diabetes. Their risk of heart disease was 147% higher. Those numbers are, wow, they're just hard to ignore.
But it's not just about your body, it's about your mind too. Dr. Nurikar has this great phrase for it. She says sitting for too long lets you stew in your own emotions. When you're just sitting there, you're basically blocking all the positive biological changes that even a little bit of movement can trigger in your brain. And that just turns up the volume on your stress and anxiety.
So the key here is to completely reframe how we think about exercise. Let's just toss out the idea of physical fitness for a second. Forget the six-pack, forget the intense gym sessions. Instead, let's focus on mental fitness. The goal isn't to look a certain way. The goal is to feel better right now. It's about taking a simple 10-minute walk just to reset your brain. That simple shift is way more motivating when you're already feeling stressed out.
And do not underestimate the power of these tiny movements. Get this. Research shows that even super short bursts of activity, I'm talking 1 or 2 minutes, like just taking the stairs instead of the elevator, can decrease your risk of dying from cancer by a whopping 40%. 40! That's just incredible.
Okay, so we have these small, powerful habits. But how do they all fit together into a bigger picture? Let's get to the final piece of the puzzle, a framework for building a more fulfilling life, one day at a time. First, we got to know what we're aiming for. Dr. Nurikar says there are 2 types of happiness. You've got hedonic happiness. That's the thrill of pleasure, like binging a show or buying something new. It feels great, but it's a short-term band-aid. But then there's eudaimonic happiness. This is the deep stuff that comes from purpose and meaning. And the wild part, science shows this second kind of happiness can create actual cellular and genetic changes for long-term well-being.
And that brings us to this amazing final concept. Live a lifetime in a day. The big idea is to stop waiting. Stop living for the weekend or for vacation or for retirement. Instead, you intentionally bring a small piece of every essential element of a good life into every single day. A moment of play, a connection with a friend, some time to let your mind wander, and a second to reflect on it all. And this doesn't have to take up your whole day. We're talking just a few minutes for each of these things. But what this simple framework does is it ensures your days feel balanced and meaningful. It gets you off that relentless hamster wheel of just work and stress and gets you into a daily rhythm that builds genuine, lasting fulfillment.
So if there's one thing to take away from all of this, it's that you don't need a massive life overhaul to fix your biggest problems. It all starts with small, consistent, intentional actions. So the only question left is, which small moment, a little bit of play, a quick call to a friend, or a simple 2-minute walk, will you choose to bring into your day today?